Welcome back, listener. You know we live in the greatest time in human history to launch and build a business, right? Well, we also happen to live in the greatest time in history to be an author. On today's show, we explore the huge positive impact that a simple book can have on your business. We also tell you exactly how to get that book done the right way quickly. Get ready for an episode full of the best ideas in the arena of self-publishing as we attempt to convince you that every business-building warrior needs a book.
Hey, this is Jim. Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. So glad you've joined us again for another great episode. Today, we're going to talk about books. And no, we're not talking about sourcing and selling books like we have in past episodes. Today, we're actually talking about you writing a book. And I've got a guy with us right now, Mr. Greg Perry. He helps us run our self-publishing service, which I know sounds kind of funny, but we've actually got a self-publishing service where we help you with different aspects of getting your book published. And we're going to talk about that today. But as you may know, listener, I am a huge fan of writing books. I love writing books. I love the effect that it can have on you. And the gentleman we have with us today is Mr. Greg Perry. We're just going to jump right into content and talk to you about why you should have a book, who should have a book, and what's the process look like now as compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago when it was a lot more difficult to get a great book out there. So, hey, Greg, how are you today, buddy?
Hey, Jim, I'm great. And I'm so glad to be here. This is exciting to talk to people about books.
We'll do a little bit of an introduction later. How about we jump straight into content? I'm thinking, I want to tell people who you are. You've got such a cool story and you've been in our community for a very long time, but how about we hit them with some content and then we'll backfill in some introductions about who you are and how we came to find each other, because that really helps tell the story as well. And I didn't prep you a whole lot for this question, but let me just pull a good question right out of the air. I think that the listeners can enjoy. Who should write a book?
Can I just insert? Anybody can write a book. Anybody can write and publish a book today. That's the great thing about the world we live in. This is the best time to be living in. And so if you don't think you can write, well, if you don't think you can write, then you can't. But if you think you have a story, if you think you have something to say, you can write a book. And the process is so easy. And the very first time you do it, maybe there are a few there'll be some new things to you, but they aren't really challenges. They're just unknowns to you. And you can get past those very quickly. And people can help you get past those very quickly. Jim, you and I can help people get past those very quickly. But the reason that someone would want to have a book, and I think I've heard you say this, and I've heard others say it, if not you, but I'm pretty sure I heard you say once that a book is the best business card you can hand to someone.
Yes, sir. Actually, episode number 1 of this very podcast, that was one of the presentation I did. I talked quite a bit in depth on that topic, and I completely agree. Some people think, success as an author means I've got to sell thousands of copies of my book. No, just that credibility of having, it instantly makes you an authority in people's mind. And I will even say this, Greg, on the topic of books, when I'm talking to people who are considering being an author, maybe self-publishing, which we're going to talk about a lot today, I say, just begin calling yourself an author. Even before you have a book, just say, hey, I'm working on a book on topic X. And instantly in the mind of everybody who hears you make that statement, you are now an authority on topic X. Hopefully you'll actually come out with your book someday. Now that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. And it's a halo effect, right?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
An idea for a book. How many presidents have actually written their own books, their autobiographies? I would guess more than half have not, and probably a higher number than that. How many actors and actresses have written their own autobiography? Well, I think virtually none. I think they all have their stories. They all have their ideas and what they want said. And that's all you need for a book, especially in 2017. But that is all anyone has ever needed for a book. Now, Jim, if you were to take a Van Gogh out of a gallery and bring it home and take it without their permission and then slap your name on it, that wouldn't be right. And you'd probably get into a little trouble doing that. But when it comes to a book, right, for hundreds of years, actually up to 4,000 years ago, people were writing books inspired by other people. They were writing books for someone else. I mean, I'm thinking of these guys named Job and Paul and John and all these guys. They were writing someone else's story. And ever since then, it has been perfectly acceptable to have a pseudonym, or not a pseudonym, but a ghostwriter, to take your book and turn it into a readable book, to take your ideas, your expertise. And you said people automatically think of you as an expert or as an authority. You are, because every one of us we are experts at something, because it doesn't take much to be better than 95% of everyone in the world in something. It doesn't take that much to rise just a little bit above 95% in skill or ability in something. It might be sewing or, playing pool or typing or writing books or teaching someone how to sell on eBay. Most people can't do most things very well. And so if you have an ability that's pretty good in one subject or more than one subject, you really are an expert in that. It is valid for you to consider yourself an expert because you probably are better than 90 to 95% of everyone else who wants to be able to do that skill. There's
I love it. Yeah.
something you can do.
Embrace that expert, that authority title. Yeah, you use the 95% number, and that's a number I throw around all the time after people make their first few sales online. Like a lot of the episodes of this podcast have been about selling physical product online.
Yes.
After you've actually made that first sale, I say the road from 0 sales to 1 sale, that first sale can seem like a very long, difficult, confusing, arduous journey. And as soon as you make that first sale, jumping from 1 to 1,000 is easy in comparison because why was I so nervous? Why was I so confused? I mean, this is so simple. But you got to remember, to the rest of the world, they've never made that long journey from 0 to 1. You have. You are an expert to 95% of the people out there, even with just a little bit of focused effort. So yeah, I think we've identified who should be writing a book, basically everyone. And let's talk a little bit about the process, and there's no one right way. I don't know if